Hi, welcome back to Honey Should We Homeschool. Today's video is about the 6 crucial things that you need to consider before you start home educating, or even decide to home educate. So, home educating might be on your radar, you might have done a lot of research, but you might still be a little bit undecided, and these are the things that I wish that I knew, or wish that somebody had told me, or in some cases some people had told me before I started, and they really helped. So I hope they help you guys too. Number 1, you need to think about your why. Why do you want to homeschool? Why do you want to home educate? Why do you want to do this? Because this is really important, and you will probably come back to this in future days, probably when the going is getting tough, or you feel like you're not accomplishing much, or you've had a really tough day and you just need that reassurance. If you've watched my previous video about my mental breakdown, you will have heard me mention a lovely lady that I accosted in the library. She is the person that suggested that I do this, and she sent me her why as well, which was really lovely of her. And it was really wonderful to read, and it gave me a bit of inspiration as to things I could incorporate into my why as well, or our why, because me and Tom have sat down and written our own why. So grab a pen and paper and write down your why. It is important. One of the most watched TEDx talks of all time is by Simon Sinek, and it is about having a why. His is from a business leadership point of view, so it's slightly different, but I think the sentiment is still the same. If you have a strong why for doing something, then you are more likely to continue doing it, especially when the going gets tough. Number 2, if you've been spitballing this home ed idea around with some people, then you will definitely have heard the word socialization. It is probably people's top concern with home educated children that, I don't know, they'll be locked in a cupboard and won't see people or something. The thing is, though, it is something you really do have to consider. You have to consider your needs and theirs. And do they mix? If you're an extremely extroverted person and need to see a lot of people, and you're going to be sacrificing a very sociable job to home educate an introverted child who doesn't want to go out or see anybody, that could end up going not quite as well as you'd hoped. How do you and your children feel about big groups and small groups? And are you willing to sacrifice some of your needs for their needs? Again, if you're extremely introverted and you don't like going out and doing a lot of socializing, but your kid loves going out and meeting people and spending time with friends, is that something you can accommodate? Can you take them to all the classes and groups and meetups and things they're going to want to do? Or is that going to weigh too heavy on you and gradually bring you down to the point where you don't want to do it anymore? Have a look at your local home ed scene, because if you're out in the middle of nowhere in the sticks, then it might be like an hour to every home ed group going. In which case, are you going to be able to provide good enough socialization opportunities for your child? And remember, these don't have to be with other children exactly their age. It can be with any children and also adults as well. We have a wonderful community cafe that we go to that has ranging from babies to 80-year-olds, I think. There's gardening clubs and things like that that are aimed at all ages, which are wonderful things to attend. But bear in mind that children probably do need to spend a little bit of time with children at least. You don't have to find groups that are just aimed at home ed. They can go to after school groups, scouts and beavers and swimming clubs and after school football clubs and all those sorts of things. It's still a great chance for them to interact with other kids. Number 3, time. Do you have the time? Do you have the time to home educate your kids? Do you have to work? Can you fit your work around the kids? Can you quit your job and get a new job that could work around the kids? Bear in mind that a home ed school day does not need to be 9 till 3. I can't speak for everyone, but I imagine most of us take the view that education is a all the time thing. You are learning all the time. Learning doesn't stop at 3 p.m. and it definitely doesn't stop at weekends. And time for yourself. Can you send them somewhere so that you get time for yourself? Whether that be to work or relax, or just sit quietly staring at a blank wall for a little while. We all have those days. One of the most helpful things that I did when we we're thinking about this is to write down my week. So I wrote down the week from about 6 till 10 p.m, which is roughly the waking hours. So I penciled in my work day, and then when I had the children on my own, and then when I had the children with Tom, and then the evenings in which I would spend with Tom, and the evenings which I spend alone, to see how everything fits into a week. I downloaded this template from Canva and edited it a little bit. Tongue twister. But I strongly suggest you print one out and map in the time where you will be able to work, educate, spend time on your own, spend time with your partner, do your laundry, make your food, do all the things on your probably extensive list of things that need doing. Number 4 is finances. This is not to say that you need a ton of money to home educate, and finances are very relative because it depends what kind of approach you're going to take to it. But chances are, if you're in a partnership, one of you is going to need to stop work or lower hours or something to be able to look after the kids, or you're going to need to find some childcare, which is going to cost money. If you want them to do clubs, go on outings, if you want those gorgeous little STEM boxes that come monthly to your house, if you want to take them to France to go skiing, you are going to need a lot of money. How are you going to get that money? If you're the only one, how are you going to acquire the money to do these things? I will say, and we've mentioned this in one of our podcasts about money, you do not need a ton of money to home educate. You do not need a ton of resources, and so much learning can come from real life and places that you can either get in for free, or once you've paid, you can get in for a whole year. Think museums, gardens, and National Trust memberships and those sorts of things, where once you've paid, you're usually fine for a year. And especially garden places are wonderful because you can then see like the seasons throughout the year in these places, which is great for environmental science and stuff like that. Playing with stuff in the kitchen can also lead on to cooking and food hygiene and some really important stuff. Getting some coins out to learn about money and math stuff. There's so many things you can do. Go look on Pinterest, Instagram, Google, YouTube. There'll be thousands of things you can do with 3 pence. Everyone's different. Everyone needs a different amount of money, but it's something you really do need to think about. Number 5, mental health. This can tie into some of the other ones as well. Much of these very much overlap. If you've watched my previous video, you'll know I definitely had some mental health struggles when we first decided to do this. If you have a history of mental illness, like if you are an extremely anxious person or depressed person, is this going to work for you? And this is absolutely not to say that it won't. Like I said, I have a history of anxiety and panic attacks, and it seems to be working for me quite fine. But just to throw up the socialization thing again, if you have a fear of social events or social gatherings and stuff, but you have an extroverted child, are those situations going to be too much for you to deal with? Or is it something that you can go and get help with? These are just things you might want to consider. Also, spending all day with your kids. This is a funny one because some people might hear me say that and think, well, yeah, why wouldn't I want to spend all day with my kids? And some people may recoil and be like, no, I absolutely don't want to spend all day with my kids. But the thing is, you're probably going to have to spend most of every day with your children, unless you can find an alternative school or a childminder or groups where you can do the dump and run. You're with them all the time. That is quite intense, and sometimes it can get a bit much. And sometimes you might need some time on your own. And how are you going to get that time on your own? Do you have a partner that can give you an hour off here or there? Do you have some family nearby? Do you have a good support network, friends and family, that can help you out when you need a break? Even emergency doctors do 4 hours and then they are made to take a break. This was such a fascinating thing I heard the other day in Feel Good Productivity by Ali Abdul. He was on shift in the emergency department and was going to skip his lunch break to carry on working. And they said, no, you do your 4 hours and then you take a break because you need to be able to make good choices. And if you're not taking a break to refresh yourself, get a drink, coffee, have that moment of downtime, then you are not in the best position to make good choices. Remember that. Everybody needs a break. And finally, probably the most important one of them all is to think about your child. You know your child best. Are they even going to like home education? If you have a super independent, super sociable sponge of a child who wants to learn everything and anything that can be thrown at them and is extremely academic, school may well just be the right place for them to be. Despite the fact that you may have been bullied in school and you hated it and you hate the system and all that stuff, school may be the right place for your child. Will your child thrive in a home education environment? Will they enjoy being around you all the time? Will they enjoy being at home more? I'm not saying we're at home all the time. Of course we're not. We go out loads. Most of us. Again, I can't talk for everyone. But home is our base. Will they get enough socialization? Can you provide everything you need? Whether that be social resources, opportunities. And once again, remember what I said about socialization and resources. You don't need a ton of fancy resources and every different maths themed toy that a school has. You don't need to be doing 6 hours of social time every day, but you do need to take into account what your child needs, whether you can sit down and talk to them about what they need and what they want, or whether you have a good idea of that from your knowledge of them. And also try and bear in mind that what they need and what they want may be different. Your child might want to sit in their room and play Roblox for 7 hours a day, but what they need might be to actually get out and get some fresh air and go and see some people, at least go to some places like libraries, shops and things, just to get some social face-to-face interaction. So, in conclusion, have a think, do some journaling, write down your why, plan out your time, see if it's feasible, look at your finances, see if you can afford it, and overall do what is best for you as a family. If this video has helped you, give us a thumbs up. If you do decide you're going to home educate, drop us a comment. I'd love to hear about it. And hit the subscribe button so you can watch our next video, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.